Good evening. Well, it's evening here. Good evening, Hummingbirds. This is PJ Patty with our very first video lesson, and I'm incredibly nervous. I will say I'm going to probably post this to my Optimized Coach platform, the forum, and I'm going to say this. The number one reason I'm going to post is I have a whole new respect for Brian and his team. Doing these videos is very hard. So I am doing this also. I was originally going to try and do this with Zoom. The webinar does cost a little bit extra money, so right now we're doing this with YouTube. That does mean anyone that likes to watch this can watch it on YouTube anytime. And that also means I'm not limited to the 30 minutes, but ideally I'm going to try and keep these videos to about 20-30 minutes at the max. Kind of get short little lessons in, get some big ideas out there for you to chew on, to think about, and to help implement into your daily lives. A few days before we meet on Monday evenings to discuss, and so those Monday evening discussions will be open for any questions you have for me, ways that you have been able to implement what we've been discussing, some trials, some struggles that you have, and also ways to encourage each other throughout the process as well. And as I said, this is a process for me, so as we grow, we will take on those challenges together as a hummingbird charm should. So when I was coming up with today's topic, again for the very first lesson, ironically I'm overwhelmed because I wanted to start off on the perfect foot, and so I was thinking, should I be talking about ABCs, to develop a healthy habit, or should I talk about what our number one is, bridging effort and success, bright lines, and my mind almost imploded when I was trying to think of the perfect first lesson, which is just ridiculous, right? Because we're all about doing our best, and it's not about perfection. This is about the process. And as we're going to probably reiterate a few times in this lesson, there are no perfect human beings, and you are not going to be the first one, and I am definitely not going to be the first person, but we are hummingbirds. We are going to do what we can. So I felt like this is actually a really good opportunity to share a little bit about my story and how I developed ZooFit and conservation fitness, and helping you understand what Hummingbirds is about, and how taking care of ourselves can help change the world and save the earth. And doing those one small things at a time can make a really big impact. So most of you do know I'm going to be drinking a little bit of tea. I can feel a slight sore throat coming on. Nice. Okay. Most of you know that I was a zookeeper and animal trainer for 15 years. My mom will attest to this. From the time I was a very little girl and could muster the words dolphin trainer, that is what I wanted to do. And my world at that time just revolved around dolphins and marine life. I became an excellent swimmer. I was a sponge when it came to reading books about dolphins, about conservation, and because of my hard work, I achieved that dream. I became a dolphin trainer and an animal care specialist, helping rescue manatees, working with polar bears, beluga whales, walruses, dolphins, sea lions, you name it. And it was a dream come true, but it was not easy. And because I struggled so much to get the job, and even once I had that job, I felt like I constantly had to prove that I deserved my job. And to me, that meant I had to be the best. I had to be the perfect animal trainer. And that that's a lot of pressure. I'm not sure if you can think about how much pressure for a young woman that might have been, but that kind of pressure led me to just ultimately hate my dream job. And of course, after being miserable for quite some time, I decided to leave. And so we moved to a new city, new animals, new facility, but the same exact expectations I placed on myself. I had to be the best. I had to prove to them that I deserved to be there. And so again, wasn't very long that I left New Orleans as well. So moving around, eventually Chris and I moved to the Pacific Northwest, and you'll hear me maybe in the future also. I do refer to the Space Needle as the mothership that finally called me home, and there are so many reasons why the Seattle and the Washington in general has been I call it my home, truly. It's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. I'll take you guys on a hike one time, and you can see for yourself, just absolutely breathtaking here. The culture here is very fitting to me too. We're a little bit more progressive than my South Carolina upbringing on the environmental side and social justice, in my opinion. But that's not exactly the true reason why I call this truly my home. That's actually because since we moved here in July of 2009, so 10 years, I've grown more in these 10 years than I have in the 32 years previously. So again, and I mean that like spiritually, environmentally, culturally, but most of all, again, just optimizingly. I'm gonna make up a new word there, but my life has just improved 100-fold since moving here 10 years ago, and so that is the number one reason I call the Space Needle the mothership. Finally called me back, and all the Seattleites, all the Washingtonians are my tribe. But when we came out here, I did get a job at Woodland Park Zoo, and it was a really good fit for me at that time. I wasn't expected, or at least not even personally, I didn't expect myself to be the best elephant keeper in the world because I'd never taken care of elephants before. But I still did put quite a bit of pressure on myself, and that pressure was to give the animals the absolute best care, period. And it's an admirable goal, and I think every zookeeper strives to do this. But again, there's a little bit of a stress for me. Like, it wasn't best care possible. It wasn't best care I can give them. It was best care, period. And that meant to me that everything else can suffer. My relationships, my health, my well-being, that doesn't matter as long as the elephants are taken care of. And I worked my tail to the bone. I would bring my work home with me. Of course, not the elephants themselves, but the mental and emotional anguish that I might have been suffering, that came home with me every night. And I hardly rested. I slept horribly. I ate like crap. I mean, the list goes on and on. I was not taking care of myself. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that I was, again, going down that downward spiral to leave my job again, and absolutely miserable. But luckily, instead of leaving, I had an epiphany. I remember I was watching the elephants and contemplating an enrichment project that I had been tasked with, and I to this day, I swear, I felt a light bulb turn on over my head. It was like lightning had struck my brain. And the idea came to me in the question, like, how can I take great care of the animals if I'm not taking care of myself? And that simple question changed my entire life, and it started me on the path. But I still had a long way to go, and that's because, again, it put me in a new direction of taking care of myself, and again, putting myself first. We'll talk about like whose osteomask you put on first, yours or your loved ones. But we again, that was definitely important. I lost the weight, I gained energy, but that's because instead of just putting my heart and soul 100% into the animals, I just transferred into 100% losing weight and getting fit. And I could still feel that perfectionist attitude living within me. So if I couldn't lift the boomer ball, the giant elephant play ball over my head, I would get really, really frustrated. I would like lose my mind if I missed a workout because I got stuck in traffic, things that weren't even my control. I would just be overly anxious and overwhelmed by everything that I felt like I needed to do. So it wasn't perfect. It wasn't, in fact, I did end up leaving the zoo, moving to Oregon, and then that not working out because, again, those same perfectionist expectations I placed on myself. And then we moved again, this time to Whidbey Island. And I absolutely adore Whidbey Island. If you've never been to Washington, or if you, my number one recommendation is to take at least one day and go visit Whidbey Island. It is a wonderful, wonderful place where you are literally kind of forced to slow down. And we'll talk about this in a minute. I'm wearing my sloth running team, Sloth Army sweatshirt. And Whidbey, it didn't beat me down, but it did bring me back to a state of, this is where you need to be, and just enjoy the process. And that was a really important lesson, and it took me almost 3 years to appreciate it. But again, we jokingly say that Whidbey's on island time, but again, there was just a mentality that came over me that helped shape me. And one of those was getting my CrossFit Level 1 certification and feeling just like the most inadequate CrossFit coach on the planet because I couldn't do pull-ups and I couldn't do weighted squats. And I still did push-ups on my knees. I still do push-ups on my knees. And just feeling like, God, who's going to want me as their CrossFit coach when I can't do most of the movements in CrossFit properly, or at least to the RX or the prescribed movement. And when the light bulb really came on again when I started realizing that that's why most of my clients enjoyed my classes, because I didn't expect them to be able to do pull-ups and squats. I taught them how I modified how things can be done for progressions towards that. And I learned to take that level of serenity almost. Like if I don't expect my participants to do everything perfectly, then why are you doing this to yourself? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, but don't do unto yourself what you would never do unto others. So the same concept, and that's when I also developed the Sloth Army. So as again, one of my old landlord got me this sweatshirt for our Sloth Army running team. And again, it wasn't about how far we ran. It was never about how fast we ran. It wasn't about calorie burn. The Sloth Army was about making fitness and making exercise, making movement fun and engaging and at our pace. We did what we could do. Most of us just fast walked most of the time, and we had an absolute ball. We explored all the different trails on Whidbey Island, and we were together. It was an accountability thing. It wasn't about, oh, how fast did you go or how far did you run. It was, we did it. We went out and we had a good time. We were outside and we moved. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how far we went. We did it. And that is really, again, the essence of what I really strive to do. And again, learning a bit more about, again, treating myself the way I want to treat my clients and treat other people is going to be the basis of what I want to share with everybody today. And I guess, again, already coming up to about 15 minutes now. But the main lesson I wanted to share with you, again, for lesson number 1 is no matter where you are, and again, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in your fitness journey. It doesn't matter where you are in your conservation journey. I want you to take a couple deep breaths and be grateful and be comfortable with where you are now. You are exactly where you need to be in this moment. And you are, again, we're not going to use the word perfect, but for lack of, again, a better word, you are perfect just the way you are right here, right now. Now, we're definitely, that doesn't mean we can't improve. It doesn't mean we shouldn't work for better changes. But again, where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. It's exactly where I need to be. And we can, again, help each other through this process of encouraging small little steps at a time. And again, just really, really loving who we are right here, right now. And that's a little bit more, on the basis of where we are coming from for the Hummingbirds and with ZooFit in general. And so again, I think that's a kind of contemplation for today. Think about some of the things that you would like to gain from all this, and we'll discuss in a couple of days about what it takes to get there. But again, I do want us to take some time to just really center in on, okay, you guys are part of this group. You guys are coming to meetups, online, and that takes some effort. So there's a celebration that right then and there. Yeah, you want some improvement, and we will definitely get there. But wherever you are exactly where you need to be. Be comfortable, but with the imperfections that we do have, and we'll work with them. We will improve every single day. We're going to have micro wins. We may even go back a little bit, but each little incremental moves forward, and it does make a gigantic impact. And some of the things, again, I have packets and packets of notes from my coaching classes, and I'll share as much as I can with each and every one of you. The first thing that again comes to my mind is what Brian, I can't remember the book, so forgive me, but he shared in a book a philosopher note I listened to quite recently. They call it the platinum rule. So we've heard of the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But the platinum rule is don't do unto yourself which you would not do unto others. So when you are looking at the end of your day and you're thinking of, again, think of all those positives, think about what you have accomplished. This is, again, the whole basis of positive reinforcement. Focus on what we did accomplish, and we're not going to ignore it, but don't give focus. Don't give a time or space for the things that you didn't accomplish, because those don't matter in the long run. It's those things that you did do. So focus on what we can do. That's the whole essence of the Hummingbirds. Focus on what we are accomplishing each and every day, and And then again, celebrate where you're at today and where you're going to be in the future if we just keep taking these little micro steps forward. So again, that's it for today. Again, a very simple process, but if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free. You can email me anytime at pjbevan, BEAVEN, at earthconservant, EARTHCONSERVANT. But we will be meeting on Monday at 5:30 Pacific time, so that's 8:30 Eastern time. And I've sent the Zoom meeting. I'll send it again with this video just to make double sure. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you guys. This is actually a little bit of fun. I'm excited. So we will see you all on Monday. And again, fly high and keep doing what you can. Good night.